Aibileen Clark is a middle-aged African-American maid who has spent most of her life working for white families. She has taken care of many white children over the years, raising them with love and kindness, even though they often grow up to treat her as just another servant. Recently, she suffered a deep personal loss. Her only son passed away, leaving her heartbroken. Despite her grief, Aibileen continues working as a maid, pouring her love into the children she cares for. Minnie Jackson, Aibileen's best friend, is also an African-American maid. Unlike Aibileen, who tends to be quiet and reserved, Minnie is known for speaking her mind. This has caused her a lot of trouble over the years, leading to her being fired from multiple jobs. Many employers see her as difficult because she refuses to be treated poorly, but she is also famous for her incredible cooking skills. Even though she struggles to find steady work, Minnie's talent in the kitchen makes her highly valued by those who get to taste her food. Eugenia Skeeter Phelan is a young white woman who has recently returned home after finishing her degree at the University of Mississippi. She comes from a wealthy family and grew up on a plantation. Unlike most of her friends, who went to college only to find husbands, Skeeter wants something different for herself. She dreams of becoming a writer and building a career, even though society expects her to settle down and start a family. When Skeeter comes back home, she is shocked to learn that Constantine, the black maid who raised her and whom she loved dearly, is no longer there. Her mother tells her that Constantine quit while Skeeter was away, but Skeeter finds this hard to believe. She knows Constantine well and cannot imagine her leaving without saying goodbye or at least writing to her. This mystery weighs on Skeeter's mind as she tries to adjust to life back home, where she feels out of place among her old friends, who are now focused on their marriages and children. As Skeeter searches for answers about Constantine, she begins to see the harsh realities faced by black maids like Aibileen and Minnie. She starts to question the way things have always been in her community and wonders if she can use her writing to make a difference. Skeeter's first job is writing the Homemaker Hints column for the local newspaper. Since she knows little about household chores, she turns to Aibileen, the maid of her friend Elizabeth, for help in answering domestic questions. As Skeeter spends more time with Aibileen, she becomes increasingly uncomfortable with how her friends treat their maids, especially Hilly Holbrook. Hilly is pushing for a law called the Home Help Sanitation Initiative, which would require separate bathrooms for African American maids. She insists that black people carry diseases that could spread to white families. Skeeter strongly disagrees with this racist belief and is one of the few in her community who see the injustice. She decides to write a book about the lives of the maids, giving them a voice to share their experiences. At first, the maids are afraid to talk to Skeeter. They know that speaking out could cost them their jobs or bring even worse consequences. Aibileen is the first to agree to share her stories. After hearing about Hilly's initiative, she realizes that the white children she has raised are growing up to have the same racist attitudes as their parents. She hopes that by telling her story, she can make a difference. Minnie, Aibileen's best friend, has just been fired by Hilly as punishment for using the indoor bathroom during a thunderstorm. The storm was so severe that it caused a tornado, killing 18 people, 10 white and 8 black. Despite the disaster, Hilly is more focused on enforcing her racist rules. She spreads lies about Minnie to other families, making sure no one will hire her. As a result, Minnie's daughter has to drop out of school to work as a maid and help support the family. At first, Minnie refuses to be part of Skeeter's book, fearing the risks. But after struggling to find work, she eventually agrees to share her experiences. Aibileen helps her get a job with Celia Foote, a wealthy woman who is an outcast among the other high society ladies. Hilly has influenced the other women to reject Celia because she comes from a working-class background and is married to Hilly's ex-boyfriend. Unlike Hilly, Celia treats Minnie with kindness and respect, forming an unlikely friendship. Skeeter completes a draft of the book, including the stories from Aibileen and Minnie, and sends it to Miss Stein, an editor at Harper & Row in New York. Miss Stein sees potential in the book but tells Skeeter that she needs at least a dozen more maids, stories to make it a complete and publishable work. She also warns Skeeter that the book must be finished quickly, as she believes the civil rights movement is just a temporary trend and that public interest may fade soon. Despite Skeeter's efforts, no other maids come forward to share their experiences. The risks are too high, and they fear losing their jobs or facing violent consequences. However, everything changes when Medgar Evers, a civil rights activist, is assassinated in Jackson, Mississippi. Around the same time, Hilly's newest maid is brutally arrested after trying to pawn one of Hilly's rings to pay for her twins' college tuition. Hilly had refused to lend her the money, and instead of showing compassion, she has the maid thrown in jail. With racial tensions at their peak, the maids begin to see Skeeter's book as a way to finally have their voices heard. Slowly, more maids step forward to share their stories, giving Skeeter enough material to complete the book. Before the book is finished, Minnie decides to include one final story, something she calls the terrible awful. She believes this story will serve as protection, ensuring that no one will openly admit the book is about Jackson, Mississippi, out of fear of exposure. The story involves Minnie's revenge on Hilly. After being fired and falsely accused of stealing, Minnie bakes a chocolate pie and delivers it to Hilly as an apparent peace offering. Hilly, believing Minnie is trying to apologize, eagerly eats 2 slices. Only then does Minnie reveal the shocking truth: she has baked her own feces into the pie. The realization horrifies Hilly, who is too ashamed to ever publicly acknowledge what happened, ensuring that no one will confirm the book's connection to Jackson. Minnie explains to Aibileen and Skeeter that including the terrible awful in the book will serve as a safeguard. She knows that Hilly, being humiliated by the story, will do everything she can to convince the town that the book is not about Jackson. This way, no one will openly acknowledge the book's real-life inspirations, protecting the maids who contributed their stories. With the book nearly complete, Skeeter realizes that she needs to add her own story, her experience of growing up with Constantine. She finally learns the truth about what happened to her beloved childhood maid when her mother, Charlotte, confesses. Charlotte reveals that she was pressured into firing Constantine during a social gathering to avoid embarrassment in front of her peers. Though she deeply regretted it, she felt she had no choice. Later, overcome with guilt, Charlotte sent Skeeter's brother to bring Constantine back from Chicago, where she had moved in with her daughter, Rachel. However, by the time he arrived, Constantine had already passed away. Despite everything, Rachel forgives the felons, understanding that the family truly cared for Constantine. This knowledge gives Skeeter some closure, but she is heartbroken that she never got to say goodbye. The book is published and becomes a success, bringing joy to both Skeeter and the maids who contributed to it. Skeeter shares her royalties with the maids, ensuring they benefit from the book's impact. She is also offered a job with a publishing company in New York City, marking the start of a promising career. When she tells her boyfriend about the book and the job offer, he is disgusted by her views on racial equality. Instead of supporting her, he immediately breaks up with her. Though hurt, Skeeter remains firm in her beliefs, knowing she has done the right thing. Meanwhile, Hilly, furious over the book's success and determined to seek revenge, falsely accuses Aibileen of stealing silver from Elizabeth's house. She pressures Elizabeth into firing Aibileen, despite Elizabeth's weak attempts to defend her. Before leaving, Aibileen stands her ground and tells Hilly that she is a cruel, godless woman who will never find peace if she continues on her vengeful path. Hilly is left shaken by Aibileen's words, realizing that she can never undo the damage she has caused. As Aibileen pleads her innocence, Elizabeth's young daughter, May Mobley, rushes to her side, begging her not to go. But Elizabeth, unable to stand up to Hilly, allows Aibileen to be fired. Heartbroken, May Mobley cries out for Aibileen from the window as she walks away, marking the end of her time as a maid. Though saddened by the loss, Aibileen sees this as the start of a new chapter in her life. She leaves behind the life she knew, stepping into an uncertain but hopeful future, finally free to live for herself. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.